It is again upon me that I must announce that Stay With Us is now moving. It is moving to Monday next week, and you will get today's episode, and well, then we go on to move on to Monday night. We'll have a very similar makeup and look. It might be a slight bit shorter because the Monday night devotions always kept themselves to less than 10 minutes, and Stay With Us sometimes crept way past that. So please go look for us on Monday night from here on out. And of course, since it is saved on the YouTube for you, you can refer back to it anytime you like. It's another big week of celebrations this week, the week of the 26th of June. On Monday, we celebrate Cyril, the Bishop of Alexandria, who lived in the 4th and 5th century. On Tuesday, we celebrated Irenaeus, the Bishop of Lyon, who was a 2nd century gentleman, therefore early on. Wednesday marks the celebration of St. Peter and St. Paul, a celebration of the two characters that were the most important in the early church and in the mission of the church early on. And on Friday, the 1st of July, we celebrate Catherine Winkworth and John Mason Neale, who lived in the 19th century and were instrumental in translating many of our favorite hymns. Today, we listen to a parable from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. It's a parable about us and others, and about human nature, and about what we are all, at all times and in all places, are tempted to do. Let's give the parable our ears. A reading from Matthew, 7th chapter. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and in the same measure that you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Do not judge. Well, we shouldn't judge. You hear that quite a lot. Many people will say it very quickly. Maybe it's because we're all afraid that the judgment that we might not want to hear, the judgment of God, will come our way based on the judgment we make of others. And maybe there is a little speck of ominous cloud in that realization or that thought. Do not judge. With the measure that you will be judged as well. But it really doesn't mention God now, does it? No, it says don't judge. Don't try to be all involved with the faults and problems of other people. You need to kind of look backwards and say, okay, what am I looking like? What is my life like? If thought about it in that vein, what do you make out of this reading? They say that Jesus preached a Sermon on the Mount for a couple of reasons. He wanted his disciples to know how they needed to carry themselves so as to live out the mission that preaching the kingdom of God would require. And he also preached it so that as they moved out 2 by 2 and met together at worship, met together for common life, they would have a way to live together, a way to live together that was constructive and edifying and peaceful for everyone. Well, maybe this particular reading needs to be seen in that very vein. Probably good for us to read it again and pay close attention to it. What does it say for us personally about how we must act and be? And what does it say for us as people around others? What does it say about community and the peace of those whom we live with? That maybe we'd become the people who embody, who live this particular reading.
Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure that you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye.
When Moses came down from the mountain, he carried with him the 10 Commandments, the law. No, they were written so that the Israelites may have a simple summary of things, how they were to conduct themselves, so that they might live in peace with each other. The Sermon on the Mount isn't any different. It is also instructions for community to live together. Well, in that community, what would it be like if the community was made up of people who spent their days doing the work that was required of them, but also spent their prayers to configure their lives, their personality in such a way so that they might be seen as the peaceful people in the world. People who prayed about how they were conducting themselves every day and made adjustments. People who then took that new way of being, that gentle person that had worked on themselves for peace, if they took that into community. Maybe that would bring a community where indeed the first sign that people would share with each other was the sign of peace, the sign of community, and the sign of Jesus' love. Maybe that is what this is all about. It's not about God judging us the way we judge others, but about us becoming people who lead with peace and not with judgment when we meet others. As Jesus sends people off on mission, his instruction is that their first words to anywhere they got to was to be, "Peace be with you." It wasn't, "You're doing this wrong, you're doing something else wrong." It was, "Peace be with you." It's sort of like living in trust that if you as a peaceful person shared the word of Jesus Christ, shared the content of the faith, that the other person would very quickly join the reflective job of themselves, maybe ridding themselves of the dark blots that hung onto them, to quote one of the favorite hymns. So judge not. Maybe we should read it and take it serious, but replace it in our hearts with whoever you meet, friend or foe. First and foremost, share your peace with them. Share it honestly, for it is the peace of God. And doing that, you will gain your brother and sister for the kingdom of God.